Living with years of neck pain and nerve damage was brutal. Some days I can barely even turn my head. And that's where I faced the decision to have ACDF spine surgery at C6, C7. Fast forward 1 year, I want to share with you exactly what the recovery was really like. The pain, the scar, the setbacks, and the progress. So my name's Piercy, and if you're considering surgery or just curious what life looks like afterwards, this is my honest journey. So before surgery, I dealt with many years of intense neck pain. It used to radiate down my shoulder into the back of my left arm, tricep, and cause shooting pain into my middle and index fingers. I was on and off pain medication for years. It just got worse and worse. I was referred to physiotherapy and given stretches and basic exercises, but I had to be honest with them. After 2 months of doing this, I said, listen, this is making me worse and it's not doing anything for me. I pushed for an x-ray, which I eventually got, and the x-ray showed the problem, C6, C7 disc protrusion. So after a couple of months, I was given an appointment with a surgeon, and they explained to me the risks, the procedure, and the alternative options that I might want to have. I had time to think about it, and when I looked at my quality of life, then this was by far the best shot, and I eventually agreed to have the surgery. I was also given a booklet by the surgeon to take home and read in my own time, and it explained the different surgery options, the risks, complications, my experience, and it would have things like 1 in 100 chance of damage to the trachea, the windpipe, 1 in 100 chance of infection, things like that. And then you keep scrolling down, keep reading down, and it's got like 1 in 10,000 chance of death and like paralysis, loss of movement in your arms and legs, and blindness and all these things. And I started questioning if this is even the right choice. You know, it's like obviously 1 in 10,000 chance, very low chance of this happening, but it makes you wonder, what am I doing here? But I knew my nerve, my problem is not going to get any better, and nerve issues will just keep getting worse. So yeah, I obviously agreed to the surgery. I can't deny in the 2 months, I had to wait 2 months for this surgery, and the anxiety was a real factor for me. I kept wondering what it's going to be like, and what if it goes wrong? Am I going to be able to move my neck afterwards? All these things I was thinking about every day. Some days I couldn't take my mind off these things, but everyone thinks differently. So onto the surgery day itself. It all felt very surreal to me. You check in bright and early, 8 o'clock in the morning in the hospital, and they give you a room, they give you a gown, you change into, and basically you're waiting your turn. They come to you and give you a brief time slot, and they come to you, say you're ready and you're next. You're wheeled into the operating theatre. For me, there was like 10 people in there, all help prepping me, keeping me calm, and it's the brightest room I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's obviously the anaesthetic put me to sleep, and then it felt like seconds later. My surgery was about 3 hours long, but it felt like I just closed my eyes and then I woke up straight away and it was done. It was really strange feelings, not like going to sleep and waking up, and I was awake and groggy, and obviously from the medication, the general anaesthetic, but yeah, it's all to be expected. So after the surgery, they wheel you through to a ward, and I stayed overnight. My neck was very stiff and sore, obviously, and I was given morphine for pain relief. One side effect I wasn't expecting was basically my bladder went to sleep. After surgery, I could barely urinate, and I started to panic because I couldn't go. And they warned me, if I can't go, then they're going to have to put a catheter in. Oh my God, my heart rate shot up so fast, and this is the last thing I wanted. Obviously, that's not going to kill you, but if I can avoid this situation, then I'm going to try everything I can, to avoid it. It's something to do with the general anaesthetic and the morphine. It basically relaxes the bladder, so it's harder to pee after surgery. But thankfully, after a day, everything down there went back to normal. So something you want to watch out for if you're not expecting it. So apart from a sore throat, which is very common after this type of surgery, my main focus in hospital was just resting and managing my pain. And I was discharged after a day and could go home. I know some people are given a neck brace for support, and in my case I wasn't. I did question this at first, but I was told it doesn't significantly help recovery and it's very rare that they would use it. So yeah, I was discharged and could go. So on to my early recovery, and the first 6 weeks was very tough. The pain between my shoulder blades was excruciating, but they did prescribe a bottle of morphine that worked like a treat, long-lasting pain relief, and they also gave some paracetamol as well to take the edge off. I was told not to lift anything heavy. The most I could lift was a kettle full of water for up to 6 weeks, so very, very light, and driving was off limits until I can turn my head comfortably. The biggest challenge early on for me was my throat. I experienced dysphagia, which made eating and drinking very uncomfortable for around 1 month. But I've heard it can last a lot longer for other people. My voice was hoarse and weak, and for the first 2 weeks, I could only even whisper. Honestly, I was really worried at first, but it did improve with time, obviously. Eating and drinking was painfully slow, and I had to cut my food into the tiniest pieces just to get it down. After surgery, the incision was covered with a bandage, and I was advised to keep it clean and dry, completely dry, for at least a week. So showering could be a problem if you got long hair. I didn't have, so yeah, not too much of an issue. After 1 week, I had an appointment with a nurse to check the wound, to clean it and replace the bandage. You could obviously do this at home if you wanted. You don't have to go, but I was really scared to even look at my incision for some reason. I was a bit it wasn't my thing. So but it wasn't just that. It was very sore and it was raised, and also had some numbness and tingling. The sensation didn't last long, and over time it flattened and faded. Sleeping was very rough at first too. I had to sleep on my back with my neck propped up with pillows, and obviously to keep the neck aligned straight. The trouble with this is haven't slept on my back since I was a baby, so that was a challenge, but something I obviously got used to. So moving on to the 6-week mark, I was able to return to work with a phased-in return. My neck stiffness was still there, and I was able to start driving again once I could turn my head comfortably and completely off pain medication. One of the main concerns with driving too soon after surgery is if you have to make an emergency stop. So I was told if you had to make a stop for whatever reason, it can put a big strain on your neck and even affect the stability of the fusion. So that could lead to complications, possibly requiring further surgery, another operation. So that's something you want to consider if you're a driver. Overall, the first 6 weeks, you certainly need a lot of patience. Mentally, it was very tough, being very limited to what you can actually do. You know, for me, I was very, very slow, and the recovery is slow. But keep reminding yourself this is all part of the healing process, and it takes time. So moving on to the 3-month mark, at around 3 months, I was referred to physiotherapy. They asked about my symptoms and pain levels, and the neck was obviously still very weak. They showed me 5 or 6 exercises to do. Some of them was including a resistance band to rebuild the strength and mobility. At first I was quite skeptical because, you know, you got exercises just doing the tiniest things like this, and it was quite painful at the time. And I thought, you know, this is all a little bit too simple, really, you know. But lo and behold, you know, I try it. I was doing, you know, 5 minutes every day, and within weeks I noticed less stiffness and better overall improvement to neck strength. And it was probably one of the turning points in my recovery, you know, just doing these simple, very simple exercises. And so yeah, that was very helpful. On to the 6-month mark, and for me this was when I really started to notice improvement of everything. My pain reduced significantly and my mobility was better, nerve pain was easing gradually, and at this time I could really appreciate everything that I've done. You know, things were much easier. The progress was very slow but steady, month by month, and you know, just being able to do this again, you know, you take this for granted, and being able to do that again, that felt really good. So moving on to the 1 year mark, and over the months the scar gradually faded, it flattened, and by 6 months or so it started to blend in. And now after 1 year, don't know if you can even see it, I'll show you exactly how it looks today. It's only really noticeable if you really look just above my finger here. So some days I don't know, I don't really even notice it anymore, and no one really comments on it. So yeah, it's not too bad. So yeah, 1 year later, I say the surgery was a great success, really. A great success. I still have some mild neck pain, some arm discomfort, shoulder discomfort, same in the same regions, and very mild nerve pain, but absolutely nowhere near the level of pain that I was experiencing before. And my quality of life is so much better than it was. With that said, I'm very aware that ACDF is not a permanent fix. I know that while the fusion itself is permanent, I've read that some people may need future surgery after 10 years or even longer than that, because of further disc degeneration or other complications, really. So because of that, I'm doing everything that I can to avoid future surgery. And for me, that means working on losing weight, losing body fat, and trying to get my body fat down to a lower percentage, which will help reduce inflammation and take some pressure off my spine, basically. Just recently I was weighing 260 pounds, the heaviest I've ever been, and lots of extra pressure on your spine and all the joints in your body for that matter. So my reflection and looking back on everything, ACDF recovery definitely wasn't easy. It took time, patience, and I had a lot of ups and downs. But after 1 year, the differences made in my life is massive. I don't know what my life would be like if I didn't have this surgery. I guess I do. I mean, I'd still be taking pain medication every day and just be miserable, I suppose. So if you're considering spine surgery, then I hope my story give you some insights of what recovery can really look like. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, drop any comments, any questions in the comments, and I'd love to hear from anyone who's going through the same journey. Take care.